Let's go mudlarking in the heart of the old ironworks of the Industrial Revolution.
What a beautiful place to mudlark.
Lovely beach up there, can you see just on the left?
Yep.
Beyond the fallen tree.
We'll try to get to that beach. Now this floor is extremely slippery, so I have to go slowly. But let's have a look what's inside there. Ooh, is it spooky? Spooky, spooky. I think this is probably just a drainage channel from somewhere up at the old ironworks.
I spotted a brick.
Oh right, what does it say?
I couldn't tell in the dark, but no, it's a baldy one. See, there's marks, but not words.
Very difficult to walk around here. No, it says Ebru Vale.
What's there?
Yep.
I couldn't see it yet, it's too dark.
Yep, that's an Ebru Vale brick.
Of course, Ebru Vale, famous for the steelworks.
Yes.
So we're in the midst of an ironworks with a brick that comes from a town that's famous for its steelworks. Awful lot of metal around these parts. I wonder if there's any in the river.
Right, I think it's time to get in the water, so pop your wellies on, here we go. And there we have it. What would a mudlark be without a piece of ridged pottery? What is that? Let's have a look. Right, that's really weird. It's metal with plastic on either end and a little screw end there. What do you think that was? Any ideas? This is like paradise. The birds are singing, the sun is shining. Everything looks so beautiful.
And the mudlarkers are larking.
We are.
But I'm not going in for that bike.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Let's have a look. Bike.
We're 4 foot deep.
Oh yes. That is a very long way down. I don't even know if you can see it on the camera. Right down there.
There's a window pane down there as well.
Yes. And they'll be staying. This huge tree has come sliding off the side, fallen across the river. So far not too bad, but if we get a lot of very bad flooding, then things will come down the river, catch on this, and will prove to be a real obstacle and form a bit of a dam. And then the Rivers Authority come down and they clear this sort of thing away. Well, that's a really cute piece of lichen, isn't it? I never used to be sure if it was lichen or lichen. But apparently it's lichen. Right, I'm looking for a piece of grubby, rotten old wood that I can use to do some drawing with. That's a bit big. I'm going to take that home and see if it's any good for drawing with. Well, they do say you can get money for old rope. Here's an old rope.
I don't think if you get much money for it left.
No, I don't really think it's terribly exciting, is it?
There's something attached to it.
Yes, there's a big lump of metal there. Must have been part of perhaps an edging on a path or something. Or perhaps from a very tall tower where they used to put ropes on the staircase to pull yourself up when you were climbing up the tower. Could be from a fairy castle. Right, anybody recognise that? Pick it up. It's pretty firmly stuck. It's an old TV aerial for analogue TV. There will be fewer and fewer of those around over the years. One day that could be an interesting antique. Not at the moment.
Well, it's fantastic. Beautiful scenery, marvellous setting, even a comfortable, relaxing spot. But all around us there are keystones and reminders of the industrial heritage of this place. And what a history Merthyr Tydfil has. To see the commercial expansion of Merthyr today, and to think in 1760 there were just 40 homes in this region, but then 40 years later the town had grown to 8,000 population. High on the mountain there you can see the tip that comes from the open cast mining that is now currently taking place here in the locality, as the coal that fed the iron industry alongside the river has now fed the modern industries of today. But just down below us on the plateau, that's where the ironworks was, and how big a works it was too. Founded by Anthony Bacon in 1766, taken over by the Crochet family in 1786. This place was so important to the British Navy during the Napoleonic Wars that Nelson visited the site. Here we see some of the small houses that would have housed people, and the grand castle at Cyfarthfa, which was the home back then of the Crochet family who owned the ironworks here and made their wealth. But of course, even the small houses here are massive compared to the properties that were 1 room, 4.5 foot by 7, and housed so many of the families back in the poorer days. So much so that the poverty and disease that racked this place, and the fumes and the smoke from the stacks that stood here, got Merthyr the nickname of the Little Hell. But how majestic these places look now. How massive, this tiny portion. This lovely man let us in to have a little look, and you can see just the scale of the place and how phenomenal it would have been. Providing steel for the rail industry, which was centred here with Richard Revellich, building the first rail steam engine in 1804, and then providing rails for the growing industry all over the world. And here we have the water source, with the walls coming up either side. This is where we're hunting today, searching for the treasures of our industrial past. Well, that's enough history for now. We'd better get back to the river and get back to our mudlarking.
Right, we've made it to the beach, so let's have a look, see what we can find. There are lots of bits of modern glass. Let's see if we can find any well-worn river glass. Some of these pieces are starting to wear a bit. That one you can see is quite frosted, but still has sharp edges. What about this one? That's about half done. Not too bad, not perfect. Oh, what have you found?
For your collection, my dear.
Ooh.
Rather pretty one, I think.
Oh yes, very nice.
A bit of something different on the corner.
I think that's like off a milk jug, I would say, or a creamer. Don't forget, shout if you see something. What's that? I thought it was a bit of plate. It's not. It's a rock. I found another piece of car. Well, I'm assuming it's off a car. It looks like a spring. Rather large. I'll put my hand there so you can see some perspective. There we go.
That's quite big, isn't it?
All the way down there, so another part of a car. One day it would have been fun to put all these bits of car together, see what we came up with.
Do you think where it's so long, possibly it was off something a little bigger, perhaps something slightly more industrial?
You think so?
I'd like to think so. I want something to link to the industrial past here, and you know, it's not the 1700s, no, but it could have been off something 50, 100 years ago.
Could have been.
Could have
yes,
been.
we'll go with that because it sounds much more fun. I just spotted something interesting. We walk over here. Sorry for the bumpy ride. It is very uneven underfoot. Do any of you recognise that? It's part of an old mango. Years ago, before the age of spin dryers, there would be two rollers that will only had a small gap between them. You put your washing between the two rollers, and then you turn this handle. It's not a very good demonstration, but use your imagination. You turn the handle, the washing will pass through and squeeze all the water out. What have you found, Phil?
River glass.
Ooh.
Now, not the smoothest ever, but all the edges have been worn off. But when you hold it up, I like the fact it wasn't plain glass. It was like a mottled effect.
Let's have a look.
It looks nice.
Oh yeah, it's got a bit of texture to it.
And all the edges have been worn off it now. It's not sharp. I rubbed it all around this.
There's something metal in the water. I don't think we're going to be able to dig it out. It's round, it's circular, and then it's got this little hangy dangly bit there. Oh. I've got one half out. Let's give it a tug. Aha! Oh right, so it's got some sort of clamp on it to join it. Not quite sure what it's off, but definitely had some purpose. Does anybody know what that is? Don't tell Phil, but I've just discovered a brick he missed. Chanel Star, Newport. Let's go and see if Phil can guess what that first word is. I think it's pretty easy. We'll give him a challenge.
National Star Newport.
Well done. Is it national or international?
Oh.
Ooh, we'll let you know on the screen.
It's definitely Star and it's definitely Chanel, and I know that's Newport. Well, I wanted to find a link, something tangible with that industrial past that I was sharing with you, and here we find it. This bridge that crosses the River Taff, just below where the Taffawr and the Taff Fechan join and form this river that flows all the way down to the city of Cardiff. You have a bridge, and this bridge was commissioned and put in place in 1793 and was used by the horse-drawn traffic that brought the limestone from the Gurnus quarry up in the mountains there through in order to feed the furnace and to do the work that was done in this massive industrial plantation. A place that they say at night when you saw the furnaces glowing, it was just marvellous, impressive, but also frightening. And so many people that worked in those industries. What a time. And here's a bit of history, and I'm standing on it, and now I'm going to walk across it and see if we can find a bit more river to go mudlarking.
There are some buildings there from I don't know how long ago. You can see the arched windows. You can get onto the roof over there, but you can't actually get into the building, which is a shame, because if you could, we'd pop in and have a look. But I think it's going to be impossible.
Actually, I've just seen some information, and it tells me that that was the turbine house for a hydroelectric plant. Now, we think of hydroelectricity as something quite modern, but this ran from 1928 until the war in 1939, and the electricity here, the cheap electricity, powered the electric trams that were running in Merthyr. So when we talk about clean energy and recycling, perhaps we should look back to learn some lessons as well as thinking we know it all now. I'm impressed. We're on the River Taff. We've been to the ironworks. We're now down in Merthyr Vale. This entire river course was industrialised throughout the 19th and 20th century, even back in the 18th century. And most of that industry is gone. In fact, I think it'd be truthful to say all of that industry, the heavy industry, the steel, the mining, that's all gone. But there are still the remnants. I'm stood on a piece of molten rock here, and along the side here you see this molten rock that's obviously come out of the furnaces. And just here, if you look at the gauge on this piece of track, just look at the top and bottom width. That's never carried a train. That's carried drams. Now they could have been at bringing the ore down from the quarry, as we saw on the bridge earlier. Could have been at the mines, because underground we used a much smaller gauge track for the drams than you used on the surface of trains.
So what is a dram?
A dram is simply a container, 4 wheels, 2 axles, filled with coal to come out, but also filled with supplies to go into the coal face and throughout the mine. Everything travelled on haulage systems, on trams, with these rails. But these rails have been used all along. You can see them right up behind the tree to support the banking. So the history and the heritage is still here in what they're using for flood defences, and boy have they needed them, because just beyond there you can see the pensioners' cottages and bungalows, and you can see the water level has come right up here in recent days during the floods and the storms.
I think it's come right above your head actually.
Which means it probably got pretty close to the bungalows, because there's, yes, I can see it's up in the trees here. So their flood defences are forged out of industrial history, and I love it. I love the history, I love nature, I love being here.
As Phil, the intrepid explorer, climbs down to see what these bottles are.
The water level has been up here.
Yep, that water
Right
has
here.
been quite high, but it's still not low enough to actually get in the river at this point. Ooh,
Handle.
a glass handle. Whoa, that's a size. I wonder what that was off. There's a ton of modern rubbish that's been washed down here, but what's this? It's got an X on it. X marks the spot. Is this treasure? It's got some pretty embossing on it. There's a leaf there. Oh, that's quite nice. But it's not treasure, let's keep looking. What's this? A lump of metal. From
Possibly from the ironworks, because we're
could
only
well
just
be.
down below. We've come a little way downriver now in hope of finding some more finds as the river widens out. But as Caroline said, it's also extremely deep. But still, we keep looking, because this is obviously a flood path that has come through, and there's bits coming down, so let's see what we can find.
Ah, here's a hammer. But it's not a very well hammer. Somebody has been very enthusiastic with this hammer. Poor thing. It almost looks comical, doesn't it? Like it's a character off a cartoon.
There's a brick in there, but I'm not going for it.
Oh yes, about
6 foot out, and I don't know how deep it is, but look how fast it's flowing.
yeah, that can stay there.
Yes.
Oh, there's a shell. Many miles from the sea. Oh, there's something in there. It's all oh, I think it might be blue and white. Yes. What's the pattern on that? Well, I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't really see. We'll guess willow pattern, because most blue and white we find is willow pattern. Oh, another piece, is there?
Oh.
Oh, I take it, yes, that was definitely willow pattern, because there seems to be a lot of it around.
That's just plain white, that one.
Right, but we've got this bit here. Now, do you think that is plain or patterned? Let's have a look.
It looks very much like mine.
Plain.
Bigger bit of mine, I think.
A bit of broken glass. Oh, it's got some word. Well, it's got an A on it. At the bottom of an A. It's got half a letter. Okay, not terribly impressive. Another bit of blue and white. That's on a very fine china. And that's off somebody's posh best in the service. Ooh, shiny metal. Oh, it's a very posh pen. So look, doesn't seem to have a maker's mark on it that I can see. It's very nice though. What's this here? Oh, it's a bit of metal pipe. Now that could be off something really exciting and industrial with a real heritage behind it, but it could be somebody's exhaust pipe. I think it's too thick to be just an exhaust pipe. Probably something quite interesting, but we have no way of ever finding out. We're under this bridge here. It is not the prettiest bridge in the world. It's made of concrete. And there's not a huge beach here. But still, I am optimistic. We found a few little bits and pieces, so who knows, there could be more. But something that is interesting is, this is my viewing height here. If I move the camera up and up and up and up and up and up and up, I'm still not going to be high enough to see the height that the water was coming when it was at its worst. You can see all the bits and pieces in the tree from when the floods came. I can see something blue, and it looks like glass. Let's have a look. Oh, it's only a tiny piece, but it's still alive. Oh yes. Now, the reason why that is interesting is because, not that it's a huge piece, but does this mean that there are more bits of blue in this river and along this edge? We keep looking. One thing that marks a lot of mudlarkers is they use these bags for life, and there's a bag for life washed up there. Now, is that just washed down from somebody's rubbish pile outside waiting to be collected? Did somebody drop it? Or is there a poor mudlarker who's stranded somewhere and has lost his bag? You see him, you give him a nice warm cup of coffee and take him home. Oh, there's some china. Let's have a look. Is it plain or patterned? Ooh, patterned again. There are the two birds, so it's willow pattern. Now this is the sort of thing we would expect to find in this area. It's some coal. Now that is what we would have referred to as house coal. It's not as tightly compacted as the anthracite that we use for boilers. This was for open fires, and every house in this valley, I suppose every house in the country at one point, had open fires and used house coal for that. This almost looks like a Christmas tree with all the decorations hanging. Oh, looks like a metal pail under there. You can see the rivets. It's quite an old one, but there's no way that's coming out. It's underneath this big rock. I'm pretty sure that's not old, it's just somebody's rubbish, but you reckon it's plain or patterned? Oh, it's patterned. And if we look up here, somebody has been dumping their rubbish because there are modern bits of crockery everywhere. Let's go and have a look. It's a rather stylish mug. And some glasses. More plates and bowls. A photo frame in there. A denture pot from the hospital. Lots of bits and pieces thrown around. Oh, such a shame. I tell you what though, I'm going to make a guess if I think I know what this slot is, because if that's a denture pot from a hospital, and there are lots of things just dumped here, I think that maybe somebody has died, and when they cleared the house, they just threw it all in here. Now, when we were in school, some of our folks in the dining room had this little funny shape on it there, and the rumour was that this meant you had a wish. So if your folk had one of those on, you were allowed to make a wish. But I must confess, it never worked for me. Ah, here's a weightlifter's belt. I don't think it's an old one. It's somewhere there's a weightlifter with no support. Is that a weightlifter's belt? Look, he's got buckles there. Ah, buckles there. Ah, maybe not.
Could be a strap or something.
I don't think it's old because it's got these like plastic tag things there. Yes, I wondered maybe it's strapped something. It's nothing to do with a horse, is it? Is it something you would put around a horse's belly? No idea. What do you think? If you know, please let us know in the comments, because that was a bit baffling. Do you think you can get it? Let's have a look, see how loose it is.
I think it's bedded into here, isn't it?
I think so.
See in the water there, the architecture on the metalwork. It's a shame we can't retrieve it, but obviously it's been embedded in here for a great amount of time, and the knotweed has taken root over the top.
Yep. Oh,
But
that's a shame.
I'd say probably a bedstead from the, and probably Victorian.
So is this? No, that's a twig.
That's a twig.
A very big twig.
big twig, but a twig.
A big twig. Ah, and Another vegetable. We did find sea broccoli and now we found a river butternut squash.
Yeah. Right, let's go home for soup.
I wonder if that's still edible. Now you got me thinking.
What's the sell-by date?
3rd of February 20. It's from Portugal. The only thing is, has it absorbed any nasties from the water?
Could have done.
Through the stem end. Probably best not to eat it.
Just wondering what this is. It's metal. Pressed metal.
No idea.
Obviously for a very specific purpose, which eludes us.
Ooh, there's something shiny there. Can you see it shining? Very flat.
Battery out of the calculator, something.
Yes, it must be a battery watch or something.
Yeah, watch battery.
A watch battery, not a battery watch.
Yes.
Oh, we'll take that home, put it in the recycling. Oh, what's this? That's a latch of somebody's door or gate or coal house.
That's cute, isn't it?
As I said, people used to use coal around here, and you had a little like room down the bottom of the garden, a little shed, and they had a latch on the door and you could go in and get your coal. So that's probably a latch of a coal house.
Or
A tea bar.
tea bar.
An outside toilet.
That's right. Next door to the coal house would have been the loo.
That's right, you had two little sheds, usually semi-detached sheds. And one was the coal house and one was the toilet. What have you got?
Right. I went a little further downriver. Caroline didn't come with me because I had to climb over some trees to get there, because we have to keep away from the water's edge in places, because we can't emphasise this enough. Mudlarking is great fun, rivers are beautiful, but you must respect the danger that is always present with water, especially when it's fast flowing like this. So now I've come back, I've got a few bits and pieces to show Caroline. So this is a reveal for Caroline as well as everyone else.
Ooh, let's have a look.
Now there's me big chunk, look at that.
Oh, that's a nice size, isn't it?
That's it, it's a lovely blue pattern.
Yeah.
And then I got another sizable chunk of brown.
Let's put that there.
Just put them there and there.
Right.
Now,
Another nice piece.
this is plain, but look at it, that's a fair rim, isn't
Ooh,
it?
it has
That
got
was
a
a
big foot.
chunk of something at one point.
Apologies if our voices sound a bit weird, but whenever there's wind, for some reason the GoPro turns us into sort of gerbil type voices.
Yeah, and I noticed, see, it's very old and crazed, but see, there is a blue pattern there, isn't there?
I'll see. I'll have a closer look. Turn the contrast up on my camera when I get home and see if I can see anything.
Now that is almost the colour of...
Oh, that's a lovely colour blue, isn't it?
It is. What's a company that uses
Are
that
you talking
colour?
about Jasper ware?
Possibly, yeah, that sort of colour. It's not that, I
No,
don't think,
it's
but it's
glass,
that
but
colour.
It's a milk glass, but it's a lilac milk glass, which is really unusual. But I don't know if it's pale blue or lilac. I can't quite tell because it's a bit dingy today.
No. On the story of glass, you see, there's a very sharp piece of glass.
Oh, yes. It's nice and old though.
Got very thick and it's got
Made in
legend on
England.
it. Now, that is a more worn piece, but still hasn't quite got there.
No.
But it's definitely worn. It was a fair old chunk in its time.
Oh, the wind is really picking up now.
And there's a couple of bits of
very nice.
what you're looking for. It is,
Yes.
you know, that's proper river glass, or if you're at the beach, sea glass. But sometimes it's interesting just to pick things up to look at. And this, I just caught my eye because of the shape.
Yeah.
It's very sharp, but it's very delicate.
It is, isn't it? Very thin
I
glass,
thought I'd
that
bring it
one.
to show you.
Right.
Then I got a bit of blue and white.
Oh, yes. That's, I would say, more willow pattern.
You can't do a mudlark without a jam pot or a marmalade
Oh,
pot.
more ridge pottery.
Here's a bit of colours.
Right, yeah. So if I put them on your hand then. There we go.
Yep. And
Oh, a coin. A coin. Are we rich? Or is it a 2p?
I didn't know that was there. I must have put all my stuff down and that must have been under it.
Look at that, it's 2p.
That wasn't, I must say, that was a reveal for both of us. I didn't realise that was on there. I must have brought my fines down, it was underneath. Don't know what that is.
Oh, I
is
think
that one of
that's
them little
another
rollers?
One of those rollers again, yes. We found these in Yorkshire. I haven't seen one of these here. There we go, a little roller.
That I just thought was pretty. That
Yes.
folded stone,
Yeah,
I
think
love
that's
that.
melted stone, isn't it? It's from the ironworks.
There's a teeny weeny.
Ooh, little dinky bit.
And yet this is,
Some barbed wire.
yeah, which I just thought, do you know what? That would look good in the right place as a piece of art. That would look good, I think.
Yes.
It's
Not
not,
not
it's not modern.
tactile art,
It's
though.
not modern
No, it's not.
barbed wire. It is old barbed wire.
You wouldn't want to go rubbing your hand on that to see what it felt like, would you?
No, but I caught my eye and I liked it.
Very nice.
So there we are. That's my little finds from the small beach beyond reach.
Well done.
We found everything from a mangle to a brick in a tunnel. We've seen furnaces, what marvellous ruins we looked at, that bridge into history, and I'm always impressed when we find a green project from 100 years ago that kind of puts us all to shame. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget, comment if you've seen anything there that you want to mention, and we love to hear from you. And most of all, make sure you come back and join us the next time we're on an adventure on the rivers here in Wales. Till then, I'll just say bye for now.